There we go.
We're live.
All right, we're live. I'm not even doing the intro this time. Hey, hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hey.
Here we are. Ask us questions, or your mom's a hoe. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at today.
Love your mother, people. Love your mother.
It's been a very long day.
For all of us.
For all the 0 people watching right now.
Oh, gosh. Well, Dustin said
sure
he was popping on. He went ahead and informed us that we were late, so.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Dustin, who couldn't be bothered to meet up with Nat while she was there.
What did I
Yeah, I heard about
nothing.
that.
You missed nothing, Correa.
Peace.
Correa, will you do us a favor and go ahead and share the link on all of the servers really quick?
Yeah, Correa, please. We had some technical difficulties. I'm an retard. Hi, Megan.
Yeah, there you go. Hi, Megan. There we go. Now we're getting
Hey, now they're trickling in.
Yeah.
my 2 favorite TikToks.
Wait, which one's
Sabrina.
Which one's not?
Me. I'm not.
There's
I'm not
3
the
of
favorite.
us.
I'm never the favorite.
I'm not.
He's the favorite.
No, I'm not.
He's always the favorite.
Why am I
He's
the
the
favorite?
favorite.
Because you guys have, both of you are over 300,000 followers, and I'm sitting pretty at 4.
Yeah. You don't post content on TikTok like we do.
Craig, you're like the
what?
the tech wizard, apparently.
Yeah, she's pretty awesome.
The end all be all of technical success here with this bunch, from what I'm
Yeah.
told.
Correa is super helpful with
And she just knows computers. She's good at
doing all the promoting that I don't fucking do because I'm lazy.
Hey, I understand that.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I have to start promoting the Rigs and Coffee thing at the horse show like yesterday.
Oh, we forgot.
I'm not going to ask. It sounds
I'll
yummy.
do it tomorrow night when
Okay.
I get back from work.
I'm sorry, I don't know your content. I'm so sorry. I'm not the favorite.
Oh no!
Oh, we found it. We found it.
We know the truth. It's okay. I just come on here to get insulted. It's fine.
Sabrina, find her content. She's fantastic. She deals with rocks more than what?
I said he's better.
Just shut up.
No, you are.
Shut up.
Mm-hmm.
She got gussied up for this. I'm sitting here all.
We were all messy today, so.
Yeah, I drove for an accumulative of 4 hours, and I spent another 4 hours on a huge exhibition floor with thousands of cosplayers. Maybe not thousands, hundreds, and I did nothing to look better for this.
Well, I have to dress up for the one guy that shows up every time to flirt with me on the comments. So.
Well, you need to wear a hijab if you want to do that.
I know, right? I am.
What he wants.
I'm not.
Give the people what they want.
There's a scarf in the truck. If you really want the scarf.
It's okay. I have my sash.
Just put a blanket
Mm.
or a hoodie. Can they wear a hoodie instead?
Only if it's like zipped
Like-
tight.
But they have this. Can they cinch it? Like
Kenny.
Yeah, like Kenny. Exactly. Can they do that?
I have no idea.
Oh.
I have no idea. Honestly, I haven't
I don't
really
either.
paid that much attention to cultural norms in that
I
part of
don't
the world.
That's the point.
That's modern.
I'm not always good at that.
Something about the whole job dealing with people who are dead.
Yeah.
That's problems. So this one went to a Celtic fair or a Highland Games
First time.
for the very first time.
Really?
Yeah.
I wanted to compete in one of those so bad. I used to, when I was a competitive.
Well,
I wanted him to
maybe-
compete.
Maybe this will be the goal this time next year.
There you go.
Dad pulls out here. Make a whole big trip of it. There's
the Missoula,
plenty
yeah.
of camp space.
I could do that, but
And somebody got recognized too.
Oh yeah, I got right.
did you?
Yeah, but she was really shy. But she happened to say,
Oh, dude.
"Oh, gosh, I think
I
it's
got
Archeowolf."
recognized. My hype monkey here decided to go. Hey, you can talk at him.
I was like, "You can talk to him. It's okay." And she's like, "No, I just love his
And I did the
content."
same thing I did before because I got recognized at the gas station like 2 weeks ago. And this guy comes up and he literally goes, "I love your TikToks." And I went, "What? What are you talking about? Your TikToks, man. I love them." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I do those, don't I?"
That's the thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I can never. It's so weird. Still weird.
The first person to recognize me was like a 16-year-old girl at a Air and Space Museum. And the second person to recognize me was like this 60-year-old man in Lowe's.
Nice.
So I'm like, there's no in between. What's happening here? I need
Well, that just shows that you've shotgunned the demographic of the people that watch you. You've got the one end and the other end, and everybody else is in the middle, and you just haven't come across them yet.
Megan, you're not wrong. Just want to throw that up there.
Those who have been.
Yeah,
you're not wrong.
Gold.
Cat Lady says Atheist Con in Missoula. Oh, wait.
So,
well, I'm not necessarily atheist.
I was gonna say it's not just because you're on Nerds and Heresy doesn't mean everyone here is atheist. It just means that we.
I've had Christians
the listener suits you, and that's all it needs to suit. Is the only person that needs to suit is you. Half of my face system's right here. This is the vehicle to get there.
Cheers.
Yeah. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
See, that's a better cup. I like that cup.
Noted.
Got it today.
Nice. Nat did set me up with this bottle. So cool.
I saw that. How did that turn out?
Yeah, it's pretty damn good.
That's what we're drinking.
Pretty damn good.
Strong. It's good though.
I'm very jealous.
Zena.
I can't do whiskey because of like my first drinking experience involved whiskey, and it turned out very badly. And ever since, just the smell of it, like I can't.
My dad can't drink whiskey either. He had a.
I hate it. I feel like I'm missing out on something, but I fucking love rum. I drink rum like water.
I'll drink rum with you.
Rum is not my favorite. I'm a tequila or whiskey person.
Tequila.
You like tequila, but not rum?
Yeah. So rum is it actually causes me to kind of like break out. It's I have like a weird rash reaction to it.
So it has nothing to do with the taste.
No, it has nothing. Like I like the flavor. Like
that's
I love
fine.
the actors, but it's like I get like really flushed and it's just
I like
uncomfortable.
Really dark, heavy on the molasses rum and some ice.
Yes,
and a little bit of lime.
Black Seal lime.
Yes.
I don't think I've ever tried lime.
Yeah, just a quick squeeze of lime, throw it in there, and
I'll have to try
that's
that.
pretty good.
Yeah, I love a dark spiced rum like Kraken or Black Seal is my favorite.
There's a bottle of Kraken in the garage.
I was gonna say you just have the Morgans here.
Yeah, so my wife uses rum in her baking because it allows her to mix up the paint, the edible paint, and then by the time the cake is done, all of the alcohol is evaporated out of it. So technically, it's still kid safe and all that stuff. But it is a really good binder for that sugar powder to the frosting. It doesn't run and it keeps the color really well.
That makes
sense. Allow the base coat to bleed through.
That makes a lot of sense.
I've never been a fan of gin, but I don't like junipers.
So, well, you like one juniper.
I like one juniper.
So one of the things that we did not do while you were here, and maybe we just have to have a shindig here in town where a bunch of people show up like Dustin. There's this place out on Highway 200 called Steel Toe Distillery, and this guy.
We were supposed to do that.
We were supposed to do this.
Oh, I forgot.
So this guy's name is Carl, and Carl is very well known because for like 25 years he ran a wolf sanctuary. And he would sit out there with like this pack of wolves and just hang out. Typical, very kooky Montana mountain man. And then after he stopped for some reason doing the wolf thing. And after the last one passed away of old age, they were essentially his pets. He started a distillery. And he makes a gin. And it's unfiltered.
Okay. So
it actually is almost this color.
I'm listening.
And it is fantastic. And his literal words are like, this is what gin's supposed to be. This is what it is naturally when it was medicinal, when the Celts did it. The British fucking had to bleach the shit out of it and ruined it. There's the empire for you. Takes a swig of it and walks away. And I'm like, cool. But it is fantastic. It is just absolutely lovely. Show Pony Gin.
I'm going to talk to him at some point about how he makes the gin. Because liquor by distilling liquor, it always comes off clear. So the fact that you're saying it's unfiltered and it's this color just means it's unfiltered from the barrel that he puts it in. I
have no idea. See, you know more about the whiskey making than the drink making than I do.
When whiskey has a color, or when any liquor has a color, the only reason why it has a color is because of the content because of what holds the liquor. So that's why barrels. That's why there's this whole color thing when it comes to like the darker it is, everyone likes darker, right? Because that means that it's aged longer, which means that it's better. But if it starts out bad, it's never not gonna get better. It's just gonna.
Well, his
Get
is like
But
not.
it sounds
It's not
interesting.
like drinking peroxide.
Oh, that's nice.
Like it is.
That's
It is.
lovely.
Nice.
It's sweet. It's got a, and
It's a
I'm
good
and I
selling
like
point.
it because I like black licorice. It's got a little bit of that
So it almost
anise
has, like,
black licorice
Oh, I hate
stick
black
to it.
licorice.
just in the back. It's not overpowering. It's just enough to make it more savory, sweet savory than not.
I'm not a big black
So,
licorice person, but I'll
It's
try it.
it's definitely worth a try. He also makes a settler's tea, which is essentially
Mold
all of your vitamins and minerals. It's actually one of these old recipes from like the Oregon Trail. You mix your bourbon or your rum or your whatever with tea of various sorts, and you don't get the scurvy, and you get drunk while you do it. So it's like, hey,
Win-win.
yeah, it's pretty damn good. I'll have to see about what it takes to ship things, and I will have to send you guys some.
Archaeo.
Wow.
Yes,
Have you had the cream whiskey from Butte?
yes,
It is called Orphan Girl.
yes.
How do you feel about it?
It's pretty fantastic.
Pretty fantastic.
Pretty fantastic.
You heard it here, folks.
Yep. Orphan
Thank-
Girl and root beer is called a Dirty Girl, and it is fantastic. It's one of those things that really should come in a cup about this big with some ice cubes at the fair,
So
and you should just walk around and drink it up with
I've
the straw
also
that
had
lights up.
I've also had it,
It's so good.
but I've had what's known as the Dirty Shirley, which is the dirty whiskey and with a Sprite and a little bit of grenadine, and it turns
Okay.
into a Dirty Shirley or a Dirty Girl. So we're not going to call it a Bloody Girl. It doesn't work out well. Doesn't go very well.
Yeah.
So we go with Dirty Shirley. You want to try Orphan Girl? I don't know if I'm gonna have time. So I have to-
Actually, you're driving through Butte.
I will be driving through Butte. I might, but I could stop if I.
No, you could stop because
I could
if
stop.
you well,
I was gonna say I don't.
what
think
time
I-
are you leaving here? 6:30.
Not anymore. Kat and I are gonna go shopping.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Well,
Yeah. So
if
around
you-
maybe 10.
okay, then the distillery in Butte should be open.
I'll be able to make it. I'll be fine.
So hit it up.
Yes,
pretty
you
good.
want some Cray? Well, so Correa actually lives just north of me by 30 minutes, so I could stop and drop her off the bottle.
Stop. Drop,
Spot
drop,
me and
bottle.
I'll go for
There
it.
you go.
Actually, I can even I'll text you my PayPal so you can shoot me and I'll give you the receipt. So we can do that. Yeah. So
And Steel Toe sells his stuff at like at the like Montana State
no, too.
spec.
I might have to pick some up, and then if I see
There's
you,
one just down the road here. One of the state run liquor.
if I see you in October for better, then I will bring the bottle there and we can exchange.
Well, thanks everyone for tuning in to Alcoholics and Heresy. Anybody?
Yeah, the nerds are alcoholics too.
Well, see, that's the thing is that archaeology brings out the alcoholism in everyone.
Oh,
No, that's because it's all depressing.
Archaeology.
try being a stay-at-home dad.
Oh, I understand. Half the year I usually am. So it's what is it? It's sex,
Mhm.
medicine, war,
Mhm.
and alcohol production, which are like the four oldest things in humanity.
How to kill.
I'm gonna follow that under war.
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
I'm gonna fold that
Violence,
Yeah, sure.
Violence.
various violence and hidden tricks.
Um,
These are common topics that there is no HR to report to. So, what was your favorite AwesomeCon? Rick?
yeah, so for those who didn't know, I went to AwesomeCon today in DC, and I took my whole family. Probably my favorite part was there's an R2D2 just roaming around. Didn't seem like I couldn't see anybody controlling him. I don't know what was causing him to do what he was doing. But there's someone who was very well hidden, or he was just a drone. I don't fucking know. So he went up to my kids and just started beeping and blooping at them. There's a video of it. I made a TikTok about it. And I was like, y'all want to say hi to him or something? And they were like, hi. And they thought they called him BMO from Adventure Time.
Oh,
I was like, no, it's R2D2 from Star Wars. I need to culture y'all. Don't worry, one day.
yeah. That's you
sir.
lost some points there, man.
What's that?
You've lost a few dad points there.
Oh yeah, they're too young. They'll get there.
Yeah.
But as soon as they waved, he started doing a dance and playing the Star Wars theme and like spinning around and spinning his head and like doing and like singing along to it, kind of. Yeah, they waved hi to him, and R2D2 started dancing for them, and then like people started crowding around him. And I was like, my kids appreciated this.
That's fun.
So that was probably my favorite part.
Cray is referring to that bottle of peppermint extract spirits.
Which you never showed me in person.
Yeah,
so we'll be seeing that later. I'll be sneaking around in his office later to find it. And by that I mean he will guide. He will take me on a guided tour.
Take you to the office and open the box.
Excuse me.
Wow, professional much?
Yeah, I'm about to leave and go use the bathroom. All right, so.
Are you really?
No, I'm joking.
You're the worst.
If I leave, it's to get a sip of rum, but not to use the bathroom.
Did you not top off your glass? Sir?
I thought you said
I did, but I have a Yingling in here.
Ah. Oh.
So if I want to
next thing I need
sip of something
to
harder, because Yingling is made here in Pennsylvania.
Oh.
I can't.
Oh,
I can't
the
do
Infinity
beer
Gauntlet.
Yeah.
I really can't do beer anymore. So.
Where did I put that?
The occasional.
So I got a Lego Infinity Gauntlet.
Oh my!
Like it's so
tiny.
It's so wee.
It's
so
wee Lego.
There's all these booths that had like Lego characters, like pretty much everything you can think of, and they have like six buy 6 of them for $20, or they're $5 each. So there's 6 of us. So I was like, all the kids pick one. Rachel and I pick one. And I saw this and was like,
what did Rachel pick?
Yeah, she got on
a gremlin.
Gizmo.
There she is.
Nice.
The gremlin.
You got Gizmo the gremlin? Does he have his ears? Is it the fluffy one?
It's Gizmo. Yep.
It's Gizmo. Okay, cool.
Not when he's wet. When he's
wet.
No, not the black one when he's evil.
So these aren't sets. These are somebody has a giant bucket of Legos and they create these creations for people to buy specific to creation, right?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Gizmo's right there. And then there's Deadpool.
So here's Gizmo.
Go out the porch door, please, kiddo.
Here's Gizmo.
Aw.
I got a Deadpool.
You had a red
God.
Nice.
I have a Red Hood one up there somewhere, but yeah, but there's crazy, like all the Marvel heroes, DC heroes, Star Wars, Game of Thrones, even like.
One of these days, I'll go to a convention.
Yeah, you should. It's at least once. It's definitely an experience.
I grew up in Montana. There's MizCon. I take that back. There's MizCon.
And they had the Delorean there, but you had to pay like $10 to have you could sit in it and have your picture taken. But it's like $10. Last Comic-Con I went to, they had the Batmobile, like the Adam West Batmobile from the 60s.
Nice.
And I got a picture of me and my son. He's 8 now, or he's about to turn 8. Or no, he's about to, 8. He was 1 or 2 at the time, but nice. I paid to have that picture taken. And the guy charged me $20 because it was technically 2 people. I was like, but he's fucking 2. He doesn't know what the fuck's happening right now. It's like, it's still 2 people at $20. It's like,
yeah.
Fucker.
You want to hear a story that'll make you cry?
Why do you want to make me cry all the time?
Oh, I'll make him cry too.
I don't know how.
Cry too.
I don't necessarily want to cry, but I like stories. So
okay, I'll listen.
So when I was still doing my undergraduate work, I worked at the insurance auto auction place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you drove by that.
So no, we didn't drive by that.
No, not that one.
No,
the other one.
So anyway, there was this kid who would come, and his grandfather or great grandfather started a scrapping business. So this is like the end all be all for if you need to scrap a car, if you've got a bunch of old hardware on your farm, if you've got bags and bags of cans to recycle, you take it to this place, and they of course pay like all recyclers do. Anyway, they were doing a thing on car sheet metal. And this was when car sheet metal was worth like $300 a ton. It was actually really lucrative to scrap old cars. And this guy came in, and this kid was running the front desk, and he was, I don't know, 19 or 20. And thank God for youthful people recognizing something, because if it had been anybody else, they would have just said, yeah, sure, given the guy weight value for it and taken it away. And this guy bought for $325 a DeLorean.
Oh my God.
A DeLorean.
God.
Guy drug it in, flat tires, take the car, crush it. And he's like, yeah, sure.
And everything.
same Peugeot V6, or was it Peugeot V6? I can't remember what they put in it. V6 and stupid 4-speed that really didn't work when they were even new. And this kid got this car for $325. And back then, because there was enough meth heads and tweakers like ripping off people's junk cars or ripping off classic cars out of people's backyards and shit, they required a title. In order to scrap and crush this car, you needed to sell them the car. Not just say, hey, this has been sitting in my back 40 for 20 years. It was my uncle's. My uncle died in Nam. It's a 4-door Buick Tempest or whatever.
What a story.
It was so this guy actually had to bring in a title for the DeLorean.
So this guy got.
So this kid bought it for $325.
Wow.
And then, of course, not so rich because he ended up building it. And he, of course, yanked the drivetrain out, kept it because he understood. But he kept the old drivetrain on a pallet, but he put an LS in it. So it was an LS1, I think he put in it. And just a Turbo 400 automatic. It was a great tire fryer. He drove it for a couple of years and then flipped it for like $4,000 or something like that. Still sold it for stupid less than what it should have been sold for, but
damn.
That's ridiculous.
I got a question up here for you, Morgan.
Famous one.
Yeah. What is my favorite
question.
time period in civilization? I get asked this so many times, at least once a week, and I cannot give you an answer. All of them.
Everything has an interesting.
Everything
period.
has an interest.
something.
Everything appeals to me in some fashion. When I was doing my undergrad work, I focused very heavily on Victorian era, so about 1850 to 1920, industrial archaeology in the Americas. That was like my thing. And then there was shipwrecks thrown in there. Hey, doggos.
Okay, outside.
Sorry, there's 5 dogs under the table right this second.
5, wow.
6 because I have 5. Nat brought hers, and they all seem to think that they have
love
to
each
play
other and they want to
right
play.
on the tip.
It's a big desk.
Oh, it's a kitchen table.
It's a good table.
Big kitchen tip. Yeah, it makes more sense.
So I always I had like this really limited window, and that was because it was what I had available to work with. I know a lot of anthropological students and anthropological professionals who they were able to go on field schools in other countries. The school collection itself was far more diverse than what I had available. So, when I walked out of school, I'm a historics guy, which if you talk to anybody out there, including Nat, historics is a joke because it's not that great. And what's interesting about historic stuff? Well, then it was a trial by fire moment. What do you know about what do you know about the Paleo Indian Southwest? And I was like, probably more than probably less than I should, being what you're going to ask me to do. And they literally threw me into a room in a Pueblo complex from the 1100s and was like, you'll sort it out.
Wow.
So I have come to really just appreciate everything I come across.
That's fair.
Nat brought a bunch of flakes up that she got at a
it was
flea
a
market.
flea market. Yeah, there was a booth at a flea market that had a jar filled with corn oil, and it smelled like crayons. And it was filled with flakes and pieces of points. And I recognized a few of them
Stuff
to be
looted from archaeological sites that you're not
very
supposed to pick
old.
up.
And we decided to go through it and look at it, and we found a few interesting things.
Mhm.
So TBD on that, but once I get the answer, we can discuss if it's serious or not. But I was able to talk him out of it because you're not supposed to sell actual artifacts. I mean,
She did bring it, Dustin, yeah. And she's actually leaving a couple flakes. Here
I'm trusting him.
because I've got a geology guy at work who could probably pinpoint the location for some of this material. And then one of them is really something else. Like,
I don't know if I want to discuss that though.
I'll do something with it later, and and after I talk to my colleagues about it at work, because it's one of those things. It's like,
we don't know what we have yet.
we need to double
check.
to beat the snot out of the guy who looted the site, because what he found looted no longer has any provenience.
but it might have some insight.
It might have some insight into things, but it couldn't be used as boy howdy, wouldn't this be amazing if this proved Atlantis was real, but somebody picked it up and took it away.
Here we go. Here we fucking go.
Now we can't prove
The
that Atlantis
Provenience,
is real.
yeah, Atlantis can't be real now because we don't.
I've got
have any
two people that I need to respond to their comments
true
about Atlantis. One guy's been studying Atlantis for 6 years.
A whole 6 years.
Ooh,
A whole.
fun.
I've only been doing the archaeology thing as a job for 11. But I'm wrong.
Longer than I've been in.
That's what he first thing and first part of his comment. You are completely wrong.
Wow.
I love it when people tell me that.
I got tagged in.
It's funny to imagine how many oohs and ahs happened while we were looking at those. You're not off from very much.
Yeah.
We definitely were ogling for a solid 2.5 hours or so, and then
Something
we
like
went
that.
on a little exploration to find some other stuff that was hidden away to do some comparisons.
Yeah, so I have Nat has this collection that she got from somebody
The
who's
stupid jar.
apparently whose grandfather found it and collected it and stuff. I have stuff that has been picked up by either people I know or has been so removed because it's in the middle of a construction site and the bulldozers have already run. And it's one of those things that I pick up, I recognize what it is, and there's no way that it can be actually saved or anything like that. So I have a comparative collection of my own. And then a lot of stuff that I've picked up is just blank rock. And I mean, I don't ever try to pick up artifacts in the field unless I'm working.
That's a bad deal.
But if I find like naturally occurring chunks of tool material, specific rocks and such, I will pick them up because they're interesting. So these pieces right here. So I picked up. Oh, this was
It's conchoidal, but it's that's natural.
so about 10, 15. Well, not 10, not 10, 15 years. Like 5 or 6 years ago, I picked up this piece of volcanic tuft. It's not good material. In fact, it's
very porous for it's.
This is the Harbor Freight of stone tool material.
Well
this
said.
It'll
stuff
do the
is-
job.
But it's
once.
gonna break. Yeah, it's gonna break like as soon as you try.
So,
to use it again.
and I brought a couple of cobbles back because I had this idea of, I'm going to learn how to flint knap. And I broke one in half with a geology hammer in my garage for a TikTok. That's about as far as I got.
Yeah.
Nat actually took one of my antlers off the wall in the garage
I've
and
marked
put
it
some
so that you
lines
can-
on it and said, cut here. And you
round
can,
it out.
And round them off, and you can make some flint knapping
That'll give you some
tools to start with. So maybe this winter I'll get some decent material.
We can do some video chats, and I can give you some info. I mean, there's a lot of
There's
a lot of stuff that we can talk about.
When I get, so I'm going to spend a 2-week stint in another field office, probably the end of September, and there's a huge lithic site there that dates back 12,000 years, and that's the one where I got those couple of pieces. But there's also a mine claim that's run by the Idaho Rock Hound Foundation.
Okay, so I am a part of a Rockhound Foundation. There's the Iowa Rockhounds, and then there's a few of the others. But I am constantly on there, and they are constantly picking up artifacts, and I am constantly chastising them. And none of them want to listen to me because I am just some young girl
Yeah, that's the
that
thing.
doesn't know what she's talking about.
But
it's Iowa.
There's a couple of really decent spots within this mine claim where the public can just pick up cobbles of chert. And we walked through and kicked them around last year, and there's nothing there that's an artifact. It's been so cleaned out of anything that remotely looks like an artifact. But there were a couple of big cobbles that were about 10 pounds that I did not want to put in my pack and walk back to the truck.
Wow.
So
Is that 2.4 thousand? That's like 24,000 subscribers now. Oh, that's exciting.
wow,
That's how many we got.
That's how many we have for the podcast. That's exciting.
nice.
I like that. I did not realize
I should
that.
probably log in and subscribe.
You should. You've only been on it twice now.
I've only been on it twice now. I'm a horrible, horrible, horrible person.
Okay, I still haven't had my own one.
Well, see, here's the thing.
And that's on it every day or every week. So sometimes twice a week, If you
So, well, the thing is, though, is that last year with COVID, we had our own field trucks for work. We could not have 2 people riding per vehicle. This is the government for you. I mean, so
typical.
So I had my own field truck and I had my own stereo and didn't have to share at all. So I was listening to podcasts, I was listening to audiobooks, I was listening to all sorts of stuff. And I was like, I don't have to listen to this. I don't have to be courteous of somebody else's sensibilities or opinions or anything like that in the truck while I'm driving. And we were putting in 4 or 5 hours of drive time a day. So,
Dustin, I'm gonna punch you.
uh,
I'm gonna see you, and I'm gonna hit you.
Dustin, is that why you know nothing?
That's why he knows nothing.
That's why you know
You
nothing.
knows nothing. He knows nothing.
But this year I have a co-pilot, and I have at least one passenger half the week. So I suddenly have to be like, okay, well, I guess we're gonna listen to some pretty neutral stuff, and it's just Spotify. I haven't listened to my audiobook in the truck. I haven't listened to my podcast in the truck, and I've been they give me the face. I know. And then I took Nat to look at some rock art today, and the truck we drove has a big hole in the dashboard where the stereo was.
Yeah, there's no radio.
Because
There's
somebody
nothing.
decided they needed a 20-year-old CD player more than I.
We'll just add it to the list.
Well, see, I had a follower actually send me one. She like junkyard dogged a nice CD player, plug, the whole deck, the mount, everything, and sent it to me. And it was very sweet of her. And I was like, this will be great because it's the same vintage. And I looked at it and I brought it to the truck and I sat down and I was like, the plugs don't match.
No.
So I have to cut the plug off and
so
rewire
gross.
this new plug-in. But the wire colors are different with the exception of power and ground.
Well, but you have friends.
But I have friends who know things, and
He has friends, and they know things. That's what they do.
So
They know things, and they're friends.
That's the trick. You got to be well connected. You can make anything happen if you're connected.
Right? Dustin knows this.
It'll be one of those. I'll probably bring that truck over to my buddy Andy and have him throw the stereo in after he welds up a bunch of stuff on the Dodge's bumper and
a few other things.
Yeah.
At
this point, everything that I need to do to any of my vehicles is welding.
I like welding.
I have a welder in the garage.
Yeah, we talked about it.
But we talked about that today too. Is
it safe?
No.
Do you know how to use it?
No.
Yes. Well, I don't know. Well, depends on how.
Wire feed.
Yeah, I know how to use it.
Oh, wire feed is easy. Wire feed is easy.
I'm not going to say I'm a pro, but I can.
TIG welding is harder. Wire feeding is easier.
Farm equipment with welding, so I can do. Yeah. Okay. How many vehicles do you have, Morgan?
How many vehicles do I have? Me personally, I have 4, of which 1 is parts and is going away at some point because I can't utilize it. If I can find a dashboard, I'll.
Nice.
You want it?
Maybe. I don't know. We can talk about it. We can
but
see.
Here at the house, I have my Dodge, my Toyota, and my Ford Galaxy. And then my wife has her SUV crossover that we bought brand new when kiddo was born. And then she is the one that has the giant 4-wheel drive, 3/4 ton beast truck. She's the one that owns that. I don't.
Not me.
My wife.
I'm not the
Who's
wife.
in the other room?
Yeah. To make it clear, no.
I'm gesturing in the direction
of
in the
she's
house.
over there.
Yeah. But the big truck that occasionally is any of my TikToks is actually my wife's, the big red one. And that's the horse wagon. It hauls the horse trailer, it hauls the hay. My little Forest Service Dodge is not big enough to do
Do
that.
you see this? So wouldn't they want women to be part of the dig team since so much of it is women, is female centric? Can you define what you mean by female centric? I would like to know to what extent you.
I honestly have worked more projects where there's more women on those projects.
That is an accuracy. Archaeology is definitely one of those fields that women have been able to get into for the last few years, and we're flooding it. So it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. It's but it's.
Do you think that has anything to do with like women being like by nature gentler, like having nimbler fingers even? Like, is there anything like, you know
how many sites have been ruined because a girl has decided to push too hard on something?
I think what it comes down to is that more and more sites are being, depends on the site. It really does depend on the site, because sometimes you won't have any sort of female presence at an archaeological site for various reasons. But I think one of the benefits is, and this is really, I mean, this might rankle some hides when I say this. There is there is the male role in society and the female role in society in a lot of these archaeological sites, where you have facets of life that don't cross the gender line.
Go to the other one.
Juniper, you got to go around the
You
other
gotta
side.
go around them.
When you, I know this is going to be kind of a terrible cliche to say, but think of the 1950s lifestyle. Women stay home, women have children, women work the household, and men go out and they do the work. They go to war. They, hold the industrial jobs. In a lot of societies, you have not necessarily that particular line in the sand, but you do have a distinct line in the sand in respect to social positions. And you'll have sites where I will look at it and I will not really know what I'm looking at, because I wouldn't think in that direction.
Yeah, like if you come across, have you ever come across a labor tent? Yeah. Okay. So for those of you wondering, because I've never actually come across one, but I read about it, and so that's kind of cool that you've come across one. But yeah,
and it had to be explained to me because it just looked like another
exactly.
shelter.
So some shelters might have 2 or 3 fires inside a structure or something along those lines, or there might be some really definitive lines, and you can tell that a bed has been used in this one spot for a continuous amount of time. And there's a few other indications of it too, but you'll have like pits that are dug for random reasons, but you can come across like labor tents where the women would have their babies, and I didn't know that was a thing. I don't know why I didn't know it was a thing, but I took class. We read a paragraph, and for some reason, it just kind of dawned on me. I'm like, oh yeah, people don't want to bloody up their own houses.
Titan, I understand that. It was a very simple, easy to process point of reference. That's why I used it.
Yeah.
I will admit that I will use something that is very simple and easy to grasp for 90% of the population.
Yeah.
Because I will turn a simple answer into not a simple lecture.
How often does Ricky have to interrupt me because I start going on a tangent when it comes to explaining things?
It happens. It's not that bad though.
Pre-Christian versus post-Christian gender roles. I think, I actually don't think that the gender roles changed in respect to the cultural material they leave behind. Kiddo, we're doing stuff. You cannot come over here. Love you, kiddo. Go watch your movie, okay? Half a society can. I mean, one half of society cannot operate without the other.
As much as they like to pretend they can.
I think what we see is the focus as archaeology has changed from, call it the 17th century. The earliest recorded archaeologist is a guy named Nabonidus, and he's pre-Persian Empire.
Say, Ricky, do you know that? Do you know about Nabonidus?
I don't. Tell me about
Nabonidus II, I believe. He's considered the first archaeologist.
The name does sound familiar.
Josh has mentioned him before.
I took a biblical archaeology class.
He was a Babylonian king.
I think you mentioned him.
Yeah, Josh and I have talked about him.
Who's his son? Belshazzar.
Oh, shit.
So the king who gets who has the hand, the ghostly hand appears in Daniel.
Yeah.
So
and there's the writing on the wall.
Is Nabonidus, and his father essentially decides, my moon goddess is better than being king. I'm going to fuck off to this oasis, drink a lot, and be nowhere near Babylon when I need to be for like a decade. And his son, Belshazzar, is the one who kind of has to handle all this stuff. And when Daniel in the scripture says, translate what the ghostly hand is writing, which is essentially, the empire will be divided between the Medes and the Persians. Well, that's when you have Cyrus the Great show up, kick everybody's ass, take over. Nabonidus is recorded as being essentially the first archaeologist. And then it kind of disappears because archaeology and the arts and science kind of takes the backseat to survival. You know, when you have the Roman Empire collapse,
as you do.
There's things that leave the requirement for civilization to kind of keep
the
from death.
hierarchy goes.
But prior to starting about the 1700s, you have this.
So the original archaeologist loved alcohol
Yes,
too.
he did.
He did. The father.
You have archaeology focusing on the very obvious things. So Egyptology dates back to like 1710.
Oh.
It is so obvious what they are looking at. The pyramids, all the stuff in Egypt. You look at all the stuff in Rome. You look at all the stuff in Greece. And you're not looking at day-to-day life. You are looking at temples. You are looking at government buildings. You are looking at all the stuff that has obviously survived the test of time. You're not looking at the pit houses. You're not looking at the privies. You're not looking at the wooden parts of town that burned down 1,000 years ago. You're looking at the blatantly obvious thing with sparkles.
But that's how you always start.
And that's how you start. And then it goes on and on and on. So I think, sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
I think that there's been a focus on the big things that are easily associated with either government, power, control, religion, and post-Christianity that is a very male-dominated series of fields. And then when obviously we need to start looking at more, we need to look at the bigger picture. So treasure, and I've said this before, treasure is great. Treasure can fuck off. It's not that important in the grand scheme of cultural picture. Burials are very important. We do not focus exclusively on burials. Religion in ancient cultures is very important. We don't focus specifically on religious places. There's a field for that.
In fact, Dr. Josh is one of those.
Yeah, Dr. Josh. I've never heard Dr. Josh.
So Dr. Josh focuses. I mean, he's theologian and all that fun stuff. But because of what he studies and the fact that he's in linguistics.
Mm-hmm.
How many languages does he speak? 8?
Something like that. I highly recommend his book, Morgan.
Yeah.
Like anything out of the Old Testament. It's fantastic. I finished it last week. It's amazing.
Yeah, I did too. I finished it last night too.
So good. Oh, so impressed.
Yeah, right.
Such good.
But he studies. He's gone on some archaeological digs.
Mm-hmm.
He's not an archaeologist specifically, but he's gone on the digs to be able to read the things that they find.
The ancient Sumerian.
Yeah, ancient Sumerian being one of them.
See, that's cool.
Right?
That's cool.
That's why I was like, if he was on today, I wanted you to meet him. I thought it would be interesting.
I wanted to kick back up here.
Okay.
Hey, dragons.
Sorry. Hey, dragons. All right, Nat, can you please drive this device?
Yeah.
Michael. Michael Frost.
Is it Detroit? No, that's.
No,
That's the one.
That's the one. The Seneca digs.
This
So there are
not that one. The first one he did.
Yeah.
I've been on dig teams.
So what they're looking at in situations like that, you're looking at the entirety of a life picture. You're looking at the entirety of the cultural picture. You're not focusing on something that would be male dominated. You're looking at a village. And if the men are, in whatever reason, away from the village, going to war, farming, hunting, whatever, there is going to be a day-to-day greater deposition of material culture from women and children.
Children specifically, because we all know children like to just drop things and leave it around.
One of the really, really interesting things that my first field school, I never took a field school. Never officially took a field school.
Oh,
but,
hey, so that's an interesting thing that we need to talk about. Anyway, go on.
So I never technically took a field school. I did, however, TA one for like 3 days. And the person who's putting on the field school, her PhD thesis was gender roles in Victorian era mining towns of the Rocky Mountain West.
Oh, you told me about
Well,
that.
I've told
That is
you
crazy specific.
Oh no, it's really interesting though.
I'm sure it is.
Let me just throw out to everybody.
Things.
when you think of a because we just say we have all grown up on Bonanza and we've all grown up on the same old 1970s spaghetti westerns. When you think of a woman in an old western town, what is your first thought? The saloon girls,
Right?
you know,
Saloon girls.
the girls in the red light district. Always, they're never
Bar wench, fetch me a quart of ale.
exactly. There never seems
It's
to
a
be
little
kind of this
beyond that,
recognition of women running businesses, women serving other roles than just sex work. But this woman that was doing this work, she dug. I think there was 10 excavations done. 2 that were main large scale went down all the way to sterile soil, and the rest were just test units in various parts of this old Victorian era mining town from the 1880s. And what it established is that there was an entire, according to the artifacts, that the number of women in the town was significantly higher. However, the red light district did not expand at all from these areas. Like, it was very distinct. This is where this is. And there's another 2/3 of a female population that does not work in the red light district. And these are, miners' wives,
The accountant.
the women
Teaching.
who taught in the school. Lots of women did work as accountants for the mining offices, because you'd be surprised how many women could read and write between 1860 and 1900. You know, before you got married, you became a secretary to work a little bit before you were married off. And in these mining towns, being able to count to 50 and write letters on a piece of paper, you know, most of the male population could not do that.
Oh yeah.
So you have these roles of women that you don't normally consider if you just were to pick up a movie and put it in a Western movie. It does not illustrate those facets of history, but the archaeological evidence says that, not only is the idea that all women in a mining town were prostitutes, it throws that out the window.
Thank you so much, Michael, for the super chat.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
Oh wow,
that's awesome, man. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
It shows that multiple facets of social structure were in these places, and it depends on when you're looking at the archaeology and the extent of an operation. The mining is a really good example of this, because any Tom, Dick, and Harry can pick up a pie plate and swish some dirt around at a placer mining claim and find some gold dust. You cannot just hire any Tom, Dick, and Harry to work a hard rock mine where you need steam engineers to run the steam equipment, mechanics to repair it, lumberjacks to build the head frames or to harvest the trees, carpenters to build the head frames, chemists to actually pack the charges in the mountain and blow the rock apart and not bring the mountain down and kill everybody. And then you have 25 guys who are the miners. And if you have an operation like that, you actually have to pay more money. You know, you can pay $5 a week to the guy who's just shoveling rock. Are you going to pay $5 a week to the guy who's potentially able to blow the entire mountain up? No, you'll give him 20, because the work he's doing is far more important than the shovel guy.
Mm-hmm.
If you get $20 a week, you can afford to bring your family. So you bring your wife and your 2 kids up to this little mountain town. Well, what does that mean? What does that mean for the merchant in the mining town now? The guy who owns the general store. Well, he can't just carry bourbon, bacon, and beans and shovels. He now has to carry bolts of cloth. He needs to carry housewares. He needs to carry toys. He needs to carry candy.
3 of my 4 favorite B words.
Right?
What's the 4th one?
You probably guess.
I just wanted to see if you could say it. Oh, booty. Oh, we'll go with booty. I mean, I don't know.
Booty works too, so maybe there's 5.
No, so
Heinrich
Michael actually.
Schliemann. Oh,
Yeah. Do you want to address that or no?
Heinrich Schliemann was a dick.
Okay.
So
Sorry,
Heinrich
Michael.
Schliemann was not. Yeah, Mike. That's a great question, Michael. I'm sorry we kind of breezed by it. I got on a tangent.
But yeah, Michael Schliemann is one of those that we.
Heinrich Schliemann is a horrible creature.
Yeah.
Michael Schliemann.
No, I said Michael Schliemann. I'm sorry. Michael. Heinrich Schliemann is kind of a terrible person,
over
and
here.
we
Hang on.
kind of brushed by him pretty quick when. Oh, your camera fell.
Yep.
Yeah, we kind of dismiss a lot of what he.
Heinrich Schliemann was not a trained archaeologist.
No.
He's one of these people, and back in the 1870s or 1850s and up, that was when if you had a little bit of money, you could be whatever you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And he was one of these people that.
Sorry, I gotta let him out.
Yeah, let the dog out.
I'm not
Inside is going outside. He's one of these individuals that he read the books, he read, the Iliad, and he thought he could go find it. And I don't know how much work or how much research you've actually done on Heinrich Schliemann, Michael, but everybody needs to understand this guy destroyed layers upon layers. In fact, I just saw an article that the damage done to that particular site by Heinrich Schliemann has just now been cataloged.
Wait.
By
the
modern,
extent of it, or just the
to the point where they can say, okay, now we can
ends.
start working on stuff that Heinrich Schliemann's grubby little German fingers have not touched.
Oh no! What's about that?
So he and that's one of the things. He didn't destroy the whole site, but he destroyed enough of it to where he actually blasted through the layers that were from the time period of the Iliad, and he never looked at it because he had this idea of the only point in time where Troy existed was the Iliad, and therefore it will be at the bottom in his mind. And he did not in any way, shape, or form actually pay attention to professional archaeologists, even in the 1800s, when it's still a very colonial, hey, we want the shiny shit, we're not really going to pay attention to the general public kind of thing. Those people are saying, dude, you are fucking up. And he just was like, I do not listen. I am no better. There's a great picture of his wife wearing all of the traditional gold jewelry from the site of Troy.
Great.
Oh, no.
And she was wearing it. And she went out to some gala with it on. And it's like, no, you didn't. But apparently they did. And removed it with very little work being done. All that provenience that I rant about. Yeah, very little. We found it at this site was about all they found it in this area.
Not
how it was.
Curious what the perception was on the sites that he ruined, but wanted to know what was left after his catastrophe. We're finding that out. That's a new thing.
It's actually there is a massive amount of what is left. He like I said, he did not destroy the entire site.
It's huge.
The
it's
site
a massive
itself
site, but
is
what he touched really got bad. Like, I mean, he murdered that.
One of the things he did establish, and this is the only thing that professionals have taken from that site, is that there is not one city there. There are about 9, layer upon layer upon layer upon layer, and each of these layers have multiple hundreds of years of occupation, and they get destroyed, burned down, war, disease, seismic events. Climate change, a little bit of it here and there. Also, the changes in the requirements of culture. Think of prior to 1960. It's pretty simple to drive around, but then everybody has a car. Everybody wants to travel the country. What is built in the late 50s and early 60s? The interstate. It changes how we utilize the landscape because of. After the war, the technology is better. After the war, everybody has money, changes the way the society is, and everything has to adapt to go along with that. Troy and the cities that were not named Troy but existed there, they changed, were torn down, were rebuilt over and over and over again to reflect the changes in society, the changes in technology, the changes in who was living there. So...
nodding like an idiot so you can see me. Is Archeowolf actually a wolf? Yes.
Like a furry or like a fursuiter?
No, like a wolf.
You don't see me on full moon.
No.
Yeah, it tracks.
Also, yeah, I love Dustin's. That honestly makes me so angry in the Korea. Flipping tables like Jesus in the temple. Spot on. Now, remember earlier when we were like, yeah, alcohol is one of the things that we cope with, and there's a reason for it. It's because we get disappointed
Heinrich
because
Schliemann.
he's a name. We can use that name, but there's more names, and there's more people out there without names that ruin sites constantly, and it makes it so depressing, and it's really, really hard. The site that we went to today, I want to cry about because rumors and destruction, and it's in a very, very tectonically active location, and it makes me sad.
And it's within sight of the interstate, and the
So people go
vibration from the
by.
interstate is slowly breaking the site apart.
Literally, sound is causing the destruction of the site.
Wow, I never thought of that, but yeah, that would absolutely cause like erosion.
Dad, I'll have to send you some pictures of this site.
I can send him some pictures. I took some pictures.
Dude, I'd love to see
Actually,
that.
no, we can let him look at it while he's at the show.
Oh, sure.
Wait, can you don't have you can't share your screen,
do
can
it on
you?
the phone.
Oh, that works too.
Yeah.
I need to figure out a way to give you permissions to like highlight comments and share your screen.
I'm gonna ask you not to put it on the screen. I want you to see it, but we're not gonna.
Being that it's a
site,
it is
we
an
can't.
indigenous site.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
This is for your viewing only pleasure. Okay.
I won't even look at it now until
It's an interesting site though, because I've known about the site for a decade. I've been there half a dozen times. It's easy to get to. It's not that far away. It's just, one of those, if I don't have a reason to stop, I'm not going to stop. The more I learn, the more I visit it, though, the more I look into it, the more I learn the reality of this site. Because it's dark. It's not dark yet.
Yeah, we're not. It's not. It's light here. We're
light until
time.
9 and change.
And it's a little cloudy. Not bad.
Oh, it's not.
Yeah, it's 10 p.m.
Matt, will you fetch me the scotch, please?
We want scotch now. Okay. I'm a good little girl.
There was there was an associated burial with this site that was uncovered in the 70s, and of course the guy who found it was like, I found it and then I took it all home. Bones and points and all this stuff.
All right, Nat, send me those images.
Yeah, you can look at them. You can describe them, but we're not going to broadcast them.
What exactly am I looking at here?
You're looking at not cave art. You're looking at wall art.
It's a rock shelter.
It's like hand drawn. Well, maybe not hand drawn, but
okay. I think it's most obvious in the second picture. I see like the circles.
It's either drawn red ochre with fingertips, red ochre using brushes. You know how you try to break a green piece of willow
and it all fibers
you have to
out.
Twist it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So one of the oldest artifacts that's actually at the University of Montana is the paintbrush from Pictograph Cave, which was excavated in 1937.
They have that?
They do.
That's so
I've got
cool.
to hold it. But it's essentially this. It's a piece of wood, and I think it's willow or dogwood or something like that.
Makes sense.
But you do this, and when it finally breaks apart, it's like a bristly brush.
Yeah.
And you dip it in red ochre, and you can paint
it. The best example is the second photo I sent you, the middle one, between the two.
Yeah, that one's the most obvious.
There's one that has a nice circle. You can see the circle perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two circles.
Two, yeah, a circle and a circle. It looks like a target, kind of. That's one of the better examples.
And every time I go to it, something new is visible. Something new pops out. In fact, the last time we went to it, there was only one spiral at this site. Then this past time I went, the beginning of the season, there were two. And one is down low enough to where I actually had to like lean down and look at it. If you spritz a little bit of moisture on the wall, like after a rain, there's more that pops out. So
the staining's deep one. I was DM'd on Discord. Okay, hold on, Aunt Jer. I will get there in a second.
All right, we're back.
Catching up on comments. Mr. talking about
repeat everything y'all just said the last 30 seconds because we
okay. So fuck you and
what?
No, it's like even though forbidden view. Oh yeah, so yeah, Korea. Sorry, I can show it to you if I see you in person, but I'm not going to send it. I work in disaster response and recovery. It's matches. I don't have it.
Work in disaster response. So FEMA actually has positions in archaeology.
Yep,
specifically to take down and
it's one of the ones I
cultural
every now
resource
and then.
management
Yeah.
essentially.
I've done only one project with them, but they outsourced because they were overloaded.
You can
and you can get certified for free online on FEMA's website, which is actually really good. So you can do an up-to-date one every time. They have tribal conduction. They have cultural means.
So I can get squared away for that.
Yeah,
because I am actually certified to be a reed officer on fire.
Cool.
I'm not certified to be on a fire. I don't have my red card, so
yeah.
I can't be on a fire. But there's a person on fires who they call him a reed resource. I can't remember the acronym. Anyway, the reed officer, we've got 3 people in our office who serve as a reed on these forest fires. 2 of them are fisheries people. Mm-hmm. So the first thing they're concerned about is water supply and fish. And you can't dump retardant near a water source. Nope. You can't run a bulldozer near a water source, even when everything's on fire. And they actually are looking at things on a fire. If a fire burns to the dirt and burns away everything, that entire mountainside's going into the creek the first big rain.
Yeah.
But they check in with us, and we give them all the cultural stuff to avoid.
Yeah.
So they're aware of the cultural sites, they're aware of the cultural resources that are in place there, and they can direct the bulldozer around. And if it's one of those things where the bulldozer has to cut through it, they know exactly what to do to essentially emergency record something before it gets destroyed.
Correa, I'm gonna get to your other one, but Dustin and I actually talked about this. Did you see that video? I think I might have sent it to you on TikTok.
I think I saw the same video.
Yeah, the discussion. There was a gentleman that was talking about how cave drawings always look like they had two heads on the animals, and there were scratches in the wall. And that's a real thing. That's actually a discussion that happens a lot in intro to archaeology classes. It's a really famous story because in order for us to really understand how people saw and lived back then, we have to actually step into their shoes. So the fact that people were using flashlights initially, they're like, why are all these animals having 2 heads? It's so strange. It doesn't make sense. But you put a flickering candle in front of it, and at one point it looks like the animal's head is up, and at another point it looks like it's down. They're moving. They're actually creating these movies.
It's like a flip book.
It's like a flip book.
It's like a flip book. That's exactly what it is. And that TikTok did great on TikTok, obviously. But yeah, it's actually one of those ones that you, as an archaeologist, or even just if you take an intro to archaeology class, that is just one of the things that they talk about.
Button or I'll direct the bulldozer.
I don't know about bulldozer.
I can drive a bulldozer.
Yeah, he'll drive one there.
That's one of the interesting things about being in this job is that I have such a interesting broad experience.
What are we certified in combined, do you think? A ridiculous amount. I'm certified in observing people on a kayak because
I'm not.
I go to Maritime, but you don't. And so as far as
I don't, because there's not a requirement for maritime archaeology in Montana. Even
though
there are
interested in it.
There are 28 shipwrecks in Montana that have been recorded with the state. No, the Flathead Lake only has 2.
18 shipwrecks in Montana.
28.
Oh, 28. Wow.
So one of the things that used to happen before the railroad crossed the continent was they used to take paddle wheel riverboats all the way to Fort Benton, Montana, up the Missouri River, and lots of them were lost because the river changes when you blink. It does not stay in the same channel. Log jams are a thing here that kill people regularly because people go out and log jam. But all those logs, they'll stick in the bottom of the river, and they'll sink that tree 20 feet into the bottom, and that tree will just act like a spike. Every year it changes.
That makes sense.
So those river boats would hit those.
Some of the famous ones are between Kansas City and Omaha.
I was going to say, if you ever get a chance to look up a ship called, ironically, the Montana.
Yeah.
And there's another one called the Bertrand. And the Bertrand sank 1866, right after the Civil War.
Yeah.
And I think it was 42,000 artifacts made of perishable materials that were recovered because it was hauling food, clothing, and equipment to the gold towns of Montana. Full sets of clothing. In fact, and they excavated this in like 88 to 91.
Was there a correlation? Sorry,
This site was actually going to Virginia City, Montana.
Okay, so was there a correlation in the amount of deaths that happened that year and the sinking of the barge?
I don't know, but that'd be interesting to suss out.
If anyone wants to find out, look it up for us.
One of the things,
We
though,
might do
they
it
did
ourselves.
find that was microbially safe to eat were the brandied peaches.
I knew you were going to say peaches.
Branded peaches.
Somehow I knew that. Peaches.
But to give you an idea how the river shifts, this shipwreck was found 75 feet down in a bean field 4 miles from the Mississippi River.
Yep. Yeah. Because Mississippi River
Because the
moved
Mississippi
a lot.
walked
You know all
4
those
miles east between 1866 and 1998.
You know
or
all those
1988.
all those sites they talk about Lewis and Clark being next to the river. There's a bunch of sites that are like, oh, Lewis and Clark were stood on this bluff.
They're not there no more.
Yep.
Yeah, that's not
The
where
river's
they stood.
not there
The
anymore.
river's not where they are. So a lot of the sites are misnamed because
Mhm.
they were assumptions that were made prior
Twittersons
to
is
it.
right. Onions were all the
Onions.
the pickled onions were another one
Was
on
this
that.
was this a concept? I feel like that might have been a concept for the book Holes. Would
I
somebody?
have no idea.
When was Holes written?
Marcus would like him.
I will let Marcus in. Come in, Marcus. Okay, good boy. Anyhow,
So Titan, there would not have been jeans on that ship.
jeans weren't a thing yet,
No, jeans
wait,
were.
but it was
Jeans were a thing. No. So jeans, as we know them, were created in 1849, 1850, and 1851 because a failed gold miner by the name of Levi Strauss in San Francisco.
Oh right, they were from the West Coast.
Levi sounds so familiar.
Huh? I
Yeah.
wonder.
He was a tent maker originally, and he went out west, went around the Horn on a sailing ship to get to the gold fields of California, and he was terrible at mining. But one of the things that he was really good at, obviously being a sailmaker, was sewing. And when he was in the gold fields, he suffered from and he observed the lack of quality clothing that could survive the really hard work
And
in these plastic.
corduroy like overheating.
Yeah, corduroy would overheat people, but the wool pants just would not survive getting wet, getting dirty, drying out. So he started making out of tent canvas and sail canvas, jeans. And because San Francisco is on the West Coast and San Francisco was a stopover port for the British, the only color that was in large supply was indigo from Southeast Asia. So you have blue jeans are created in San Francisco for the gold mining, and Levi Strauss was the guy who made them. So by the time the Bertrand sank, it was actually still woolen and corduroy clothing on that ship because everything from the West Coast had not quite made it to the East Coast yet.
I'm learning something
because of the disruption from the Civil War.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Damn.
I learned things too. Well, he's been in the field longer than me, so he's
This is that historics thing that I'm really, really good at, and people look at me like, "Oh, you're a historic guy," and just kind of.
So I would argue that it's out here the reason why historics are kind of dismissed, because in the East Coast, historic people are
historics go back further on the East Coast.
Yeah, because they buried and they rebuild and they bury and they rebuild. But yeah, so like paleo person going out to the East Coast, a lot of times we aren't needed.
Well, here's an interesting thing.
Or wanted. We're needed but not wanted.
And here this will be a great educational moment for everybody who's paying attention. In the United States, there's two eras of archaeology. There is historic, which goes back 250 years, really should be 300 years at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Goes back between 300 years 150 years ago is considered historic archaeology. And then prior to that is prehistoric archaeology.
And we go back all the way.
And that deals
Until
with
people.
pretty much indigenous people at the point of European contact all the way back to the Ice Age and earlier. I don't like the term prehistoric because it's one, it assumes that, you know, the indigenous people of the Americas were cavemen. No.
No, they
And
had language.
you know, the Aztecs and the Mayans and the Incas and all of these massive civilizations in South America and Central America technically fall into that window of prehistoric. So pre-contact is really what we should be saying. The other part of that is,
and that would be a flexible date, though.
That would be a very flexible date.
Yeah.
The other thing is, though, is that there were indigenous people, indigenous craftspeople making stone arrowheads in 1890, just like they were at the year 0, and just like they were at 10,000 BP.
These dates are really meaningless because they overlap so broadly.
Yeah, so
it makes it.
Is it still a prehistoric
difficult.
artifact if I find an arrowhead in the 1895 layer?
Because a lot of times people will be like, "Oh, that's
It's
something
traditional.
that has surfaced from the past," but they don't think about it as it's all about location. Like real estate, location.
So you have that kind of a thing of and contact on the East Coast. You know, the indigenous peoples of North America did not deal with Europeans in the West until 100 years.
There it is.
Yeah, that's
it.
What's her name?
Thank you, Andre.
Schliemann's wife.
Yeah,
sorry,
she's wearing
distracted.
everything.
Like the Iroquois, they're dealing with white people 150 years almost before the Sioux really deal with white people. Why are we considering what happens on the East Coast and what happens in the middle of the continent, what happens on the West Coast, all within the same window?
Even when we go into the Inuit culture, you have to think about that because that's even more recent. So the stuff that we call just historics, like how it has that 50-year gap. There are still people up in that are up in Alaska and up in Nunavut that are like Canada that are just now experiencing having white people around them, and I'm just gonna call it white people. I'm just sorry. I could use colonizers, but really at this point, it's not just colonizers. It's people. It's white people that came from those that came from those that came from that. Ongoing. I once dug up an arrowhead in my yard when I was 8.
Stole it. Yeah.
Teachers are mean. Wait, are you gonna steal my flakes?
No.
Okay, good.
You're gonna get them back.
Okay.
Sure you will.
Sure.
Well, you guys all see it. If you don't trust me, take them home with you. Put them in your car.
No, I trust him.
Okay.
That's right.
You saw it.
You're professional. You're professional. He's a professional. I trust him.
No, I have a colleague at work who deals with a lot more lithics than I do, and he's spent more time in Alaska and Canada. And one of the flakes that we found has I really want to ask his opinion on because it might be regionally significant. So
would Viking colonization of Nova Scotia be part of the pre-contact era?
That's the interesting question.
Yeah, that's one of those hot topics that we do actually discuss in the field. Technically, yes, but also technically no.
Technically, it's contact.
Technically, it is.
And to be perfectly honest,
they lasted, but they.
To be perfectly honest, it's one of those moments of if a tree falls in the forest and no one's around to hear it, doesn't make a noise. The Pavlov's dog cat thing. If the Vikings go all the way down the coast of Florida, but they don't colonize any place, and the indigenous people kill them all, and nobody knows they went there, did they actually get there? So the Vikings are definitely one of those things, being that we have a site in Newfoundland. It's not Nova Scotia, it's Newfoundland.
Yeah, because Newfoundland, yeah. But they.
It was a short-term occupation site, but it was 50 years short-term.
So
like they had
like
contact.
almost one generation.
Yeah, almost one generation. So they had contact with the indigenous peoples in that area, who in turn had contact with indigenous peoples in a slightly different area. Because all these territories overlap, and they all conducted trade with each other in some fashion. So,
Pavlov's Viking tree.
Nice. I think that should be a T-shirt.
That should be a T-shirt.
It would take very little time for the description and the knowledge of Vikings to go from the indigenous people who live in Newfoundland to the indigenous people that live in the Carolinas, because people talk. People talk to people talk to people talk. And this, if you've ever played the game of telephone, the story changes just a little bit every time, but the core of the story, the core of that particular knowledge does reflect something truthful. So, like the giants thing that we've talked about, everyone's like, "Oh, giants in biblical scripture, giants in this, giants in that." Well, the reality is probably just somebody who is abnormally tall for the time period, and because he's abnormally tall, he's stronger than everybody else, and they'll exaggerate it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The giant thing with the Roman Empire. If anybody's read the book that Caesar wrote, his times, his campaigns in Northern Europe, there is a passage in there where he discusses how he had to find some way to boost the morale of his troops, because his troops are talking to the Gauls, who are tied in as auxiliary mercenaries, militia forces. And the Gauls, who are already a tough bunch, are saying, guys, there are these people. They live across the river there. They are a full head taller than everybody else. They come running into battle. They wear nothing. They wear nothing at all. Oh, by the way, arrows don't affect them.
Yeah, no.
They are taller than us. They are bigger than us. They are scarier than us.
And they're not afraid to die.
And they're not afraid to die.
They will fight to the last breath.
So
fear.
Who they're describing are northern Celts that essentially become.
It's okay. Old dogs.
So Dan Carlin, who does a great podcast called Hardcore History, quoted this particular line, and I love it. The Vikings are Celts 3.0. Because 1.0 Celts, the original Celts you have are pre-Roman. The next version of Celts are post-Roman, and then the third version of Celts is essentially the development of the Vikings and that particular aspect of Northern European peoples. But when you go back to when Rome is fighting through Northern Europe and they're getting these stories back from the Gauls, they're discussing these people who are they're 6 foot tall, which is not that tall. I'm taller than 6 foot.
I am 6 foot.
But if your common Roman soldier is 5'4",
yeah, it's gonna be tall.
That's still terrifying. And I mean, in the heat of combat, I mean, Dadpool, you've been in conflict.
Yes.
Your senses are tuned so high in survival, things might be, in your own senses, exaggerated in your instinctual efforts to keep you alive.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, a 6'3" guy swinging a sword at you, and you're 5'4", and there's
7 feet tall. He's
7 feet tall. He's a giant, and you tell that story over a jug of ale to your buddy who was not there. He's gonna go, "Oh shit, that guy was 8 foot tall." You drunk go, "Oh yeah, he was." He's going to turn around and tell somebody at the back of the line, who's then going to tell somebody else. And by the time it gets back to Rome, the guy you were fighting was 12 feet tall.
And there were 7 of them.
And there were 7 of them, and they were carrying trees and all of this stuff that exaggerates.
Now, what I will say, based on my experience, is I never really saw any of the people we encountered. Like, it's all very long range. You get shot at, you return fire, and then maybe a body comes up. You don't really see. It's not like a sniper puts a hole through their head. Like, God, it's not like the movies at all. But I have heard, we'd go out to bars, and like my buddies, like after deployment, we go out to bars, and they would like try to pick up some chick, and they would tell stories and they would exaggerate.
Oh,
And
yeah.
like,
Of course.
I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, I was there. What the fuck are you talking about? That never happened.
Yeah, but you know,
But the story changes.
there's
But
a
the story
girl
changes.
on the line.
Yeah,
Exactly.
There's a girl
So,
on the line.
and it's not. It doesn't just have to be with girls. It could be other
Keep
guys. You're
talking.
trying to.
I'm fine.
You're trying to impress another group of guys with how badass you are.
Oh, that's
But what happens when that
insane.
other group of
the
guys
measuring contest.
take what you say as truth?
That's exactly right. Yep.
So that's where a lot of these giant myths come from. And if you look at some sort of, and I'm not quite familiar with the particular indigenous story. I know that there are them that reflect what could be considered Vikings or white demons of some sort. There's one or two details at the end of the telephone line that remain the same, but everything else has been changed because of the personal interpretation and the worldview of every single person saying it. You know, Dadpool, you were in combat. I never was. I look at your experience through what I can recognize.
Yeah.
That changes the story of your experience. If I tell Nat or I tell a friend of mine down the road, the story changes as it goes along. And that goes through history in so many respects.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's about oral tradition. I'm actually reading a book on oral tradition right now. And it's really interesting. Like, there's this big myth that in antiquity they were better at memorizing details than we are now. Well, that's just demonstrably false. They were no different back then than we are now.
People have always been forgetful. They've got
Yeah,
to make stuff up
exactly.
if they want. Yeah, the whole interrogating someone back in the day, it's like to understand what they look like. Yeah, good luck finding a sketch of them that's accurate.
No.
That's not a thing.
And like you can look at the Gospels and read, like, one, you have Paul, who doesn't mention a lot about the life of Jesus at all, and he is the earliest. He wrote like 3 or 4 books before the Gospels were written. He doesn't mention any detail. He quotes him at the Last Supper. That's pretty much it. Doesn't talk about his ministry, miracles, nothing. He talks about the Old Testament almost entirely. Then along comes the Gospels, written through oral tradition, and they all disagree with each other on a lot of details. In Matthew, Jesus feeds the 3,000. In Luke, he feeds 5,000. So you're seeing it's
getting warm. It's fine.
I think I got that switched. But yeah, the details get exaggerated.
I'm wearing the Decay 5.
Yeah.
From Roadkill, because I'm a car guy.
Oh, Roadkill, typical. So
go ahead and finish.
That's how missionaries worked in antiquity. They would go and they would tell stories, and they would hear these stories, and they'd repeat these stories to their relatives. They would convert their relatives. They share the stories with their neighbors. They convert their neighbors, and the stories would get exaggerated and on and on and on and on until eventually someone who was actually literate got a hold of the oral tradition and was like, hey, I can write this down. Well, like the earliest manuscript we have is called P42 or P52, and it's the size of a credit card. It's the Gospel of John about Pontius Pilate and the crucifixion. That's the earliest thing we have, 100 years after it was written. The second manuscript we have is P45. It's a fragment or like a third of the Gospel of Mark. It's missing like the first 3 chapters, and it's missing the last 4 chapters.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the 4th chapter only has like a few scraps. So really it's chapters 5 through 8 of Mark that we have. And that was found 200 or written 200 years after it was written. So that is like the early 200 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's like 6 people in antiquity. Like, that's how long oral tradition went. Like, we don't have copies. We don't have the copies of copies. We don't have the original copies of the copies. What we have was copied over and over and over and over again for decades, centuries even. We don't have a complete manuscript of Mark until like 320 years after it was written.
Yeah.
So, like, how much do you think was changed? And even then, like, studying the earlier manuscripts, there are much bigger differences in them than there were after the 3rd century when Constantine came along and regulated everything. Like the manuscripts are much more in sync after Constantine took over. Prior to that, because they weren't written by professionals, they're written by, oh, you know how to read and write? Here, copy this for me. Being a scribe required a lot more education than just being someone who was literate. A lot of times this was done by just whatever guy in your church could read or write, a slave even. This was, if you were literate and you were a slave, this was part of your chores. You copy this down.
Yep.
If you have multiple, if you're writing these copies and you're lucky enough to have multiple copies, and you can cross-reference the two to make your new copy, and you come upon a word or a phrase that are different, well, now you have to play a guessing game.
Greater candle.
I am listening.
Sorry, we're just discussing.
Right.
No, go for it.
Oh,
It's my turn to rant.
So yeah, it's your turn.
So there was shit tons of guessing games and exaggerations and missing details by people who could barely spell, barely write. There's so much misspellings in the manuscripts because they couldn't spell. They didn't have spell check back then. And a lot of these misspellings...
Spell check doesn't help that much.
It doesn't. It really doesn't, even still.
Yeah, that goes back to the thing we looked at the Highland Games yesterday. How many people are spelling based phonetically versus the actual spelling of something.
That was an interesting conversation.
I think...
Are you being sarcastic?
No, I'm serious.
So
Because I thought it was really interesting.
It was very interesting. So I
No, it wasn't being sarcastic.
Last name on my TikTok account is my last name spelled phonetically in like 1653. So it's the same last name, it's just spelled differently.
How many different variations do you think we came across yesterday?
So in my family tree, technically I'm a MacLean, and this is the clan that was one of the clans that was represented at the Highland Games. There were 14 different spellings of MacLean. And it was the way it is in my family tree, which is M-A-C-L, lowercase l, E-A-N. And then there's MacLean, like Norman MacLean, the writer, who spelled his name the same way, but his brother Paul, as a reporter in the 1920s and 30s, spelled his name with a capital L, which denotes a lowland Scot family. MacLean, there's just M-C. There's M-A-C-L-I-A-N, L-A-I-N, E's at the end, all sorts of different spellings, but when you pronounce them phonetically, MacLean. They're all the same.
Can you talk about who famous you're related to? Or at least in the clan with?
Oh, apparently I'm related to Sean Connery. He's in the same clan as me. He's a MacLean through his mother's side.
That's not surprising looking at you, honestly.
Well, thanks. It's the beard.
I can see it.
It's the fact that I've wiped all the black off, thinking how I'm going to take over the world.
Oh, I showed up and it like poof, white.
No, that's through here.
Oh, yeah. I have my own stress stripe that's on the other side of it.
And I actually didn't know that, okay, until yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, we found out yesterday.
Okay, and I mean, like she said before, this was the first Highland game I've ever been to. They have them in the Bitter every year, and I've just never gone. So this year we went, and it was great. It was great fun. I'm going to do it again.
It was actually one of the most popular ones that they've ever had because
apparently
COVID and everything. People
it
were
was so
desperate
packed,
to go to something.
This year. But I was talking to the two ladies behind the table. I got the form to join essentially the American Society of MacLeans and all this stuff. Get the newsletter. Fine, cool. But they had an article there with Sean Connery getting knighted, and he was wearing the hunting tartan of the MacLeans, which is actually like a dark green, black, blue, and a little bit of red. And then the other one is a red, dark red with.
The other one's it's almost like a sun, no, like a shadow of my family's dress.
Yeah,
hers. Same colors,
so hers.
Mine are bright.
Hers is bright red.
Really bright.
The traditional of the MacLeans is dark red.
Yeah.
But I also, because I've done all the genealogy on my mother's side of the family, based on what my grandmother left to me, and then all the work I've done. There's about 12 different names that were represented there that are in my family tree going back 10 generations. So on Connery's day.
I want to say, Correa, yeah, you don't have to write your question again. We are like when I said to scratch. Okay, so I'll address it really quick. The whole comment about the first time that he was able to be on the show and we were able to say, yeah, we've only scratched the surface of archaeology. I mean, even now we are only scratching the surface of archology. There is so much to talk about. Like, I did not have a specific list I wanted to talk about. This is
shit! Look who's here.
Hey, hi Neil. Oh my gosh.
Do I know Neil?
I don't think you do, but we should definitely introduce you. Neil's a really, really cool guy.
Cool.
Talks about everyone's deconversion stories or why they are what they are. He's actually really popular in TikTok culture. Just quick rundown. He looks like a biker guy. He's like super chill.
Neil the biker. Neil the chill biker. All right, cool.
And he
I'm
likes
down.
to collect masks. It's neat. So that was his nerd part.
Cool.
Anyway, yeah, Neil, in a few weeks. I got distracted, but yeah, it's like, holy crap, a channel I don't have a wrench on. Yeah, fix that. Make him an editor.
There you go.
Okay, so yeah, I missed something. I wanted to say something. I lost something. There's a Bible discussion going on. I'm pregnant. I missed it, so I'll just let it go. Anyway,
Candle's gonna go back to school with his GI Bill. Take every internship, work study, and field school you can. That's my only bit of advice.
Build up that resume, man.
Build it up, bro.
That's good advice.
It's been very helpful to repeat my. I have to go, but thank you. All right.
Take care, man. We'll see you.
But yeah, so and Titan, I swear it was a comment that Titan made, but I don't know if it's there anymore. We were going to talk about so women in, what exactly did it say? It said,
the peacocking.
Yes,
Peacocking.
how women wear dresses and jewelry and makeup to be able to show themselves as a higher, it's almost like a hierarchy or what was it? Not alpha male, but like
alpha female.
Alpha female.
It's essentially
like
the female version of peacock.
Yeah. And I would argue that one of the things that net rocks. Senior citizen
humor.
That's funny because of how many young people say that to me too. No, so I wanted to address it.
That's what you need to find is like a 20-year-old banana boy. Oh wait, you're turning 30.
There will be violence.
Everybody around me is so young, and I just, for some reason, feel
5 years.
7, 8,
7 years, big deal.
8.
Oh my gosh,
Technically.
he's so. No, I wanted to talk about how like the standards are changing right now. So there's a cultural norm for women to not do that peacocking, which I love. I absolutely love it. I've never wanted to do that peacocking. I've never enjoyed doing that peacocking. I like makeup every now and then. It's fun and it's I feel pretty.
I've never been attracted to peacocking.
Have you seen Rachel? She's freaking gorgeous.
Yeah, and she doesn't need to try to be.
That's the point. I like being intimidating. I like being tall. I like being masculine, but I am definitely female and I identify as such. But I like how that's a big thing, right? What do you want to say?
I was gonna say, I don't know, Dadpool. I saw your TikTok you did smacking down what's his face, who's all he doesn't find
thick chicks.
Tough. No,
tough women.
Tough.
Oh, Elliot Hulse.
Women of power or of.
Yeah, he said he's not turned on by female CEOs.
So, yeah, well,
fight me.
Dodge that bullet, ladies.
He's a moron. But I did see the story. I did listen to your account of How You Met Your Wife.
Mm-hmm.
She presented the presentation of who she is in a presentation.
I know where you're going with this.
I
agree.
Everybody else that would possibly have been in the running, which is a form of
Yeah.
peacocking.
Talking.
I
I
agree with
will
that.
argue that
She went into the ring, defeated all the
behaviorally-
others with
That's
a
fair.
sword,
That's
come
not-
out covered in
But
blood,
that's
and was
that's
like,
not peacocking. That would mean that he was the peacock and she was fighting for. Oh,
Yeah, she was peacocking, and I was, but she wasn't doing it to attract like
Wait, she was
attention.
doing it because she was
no.
ordering.
She did it because she was pissed off that so
Um,
many men were like using the system, and she actually cares about her job. I get that though. Like yeah, there's definitely a strong argument to be made there that is what she's doing.
Okay, bye, Neil.
Hey, Neil, thanks for stopping by.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
hey.
okay. I'll show you his channel.
All right, cool.
I'll catch you up.
Neil, I'll check out your channel if you haven't left yet.
Yeah, he does deconstruct. Do you even have a deconstruction story, Morgan?
Do you want to discuss it? I think that's a
I
better
have
question.
like
We don't have to. I'm just asking. But like,
some story in what respect? There's like 47
A discussion for
away from
another time.
Christianity.
Yeah.
well, it doesn't have to be away from Christianity. He has it away from like everything. Like he's had former Scientologists, ex-Muslims,
Oh,
But
like everything on his show.
Well, I mean,
I don't know
to each their own, right? So his, I'm not going to tell you
because
like
I've
what
gone
it
the
is, but-
whole gambit.
Yeah.
I've gone from not believing anything to going to the Christian Life Center youth group and
Oh, right,
doing
we
the
were talking
Jesus-y
about that
thing
a little
every
bit today.
Tuesday night from 4 to 7 o'clock. It was weird. It was a
4 to
high school.
7.
Oh,
Who does
high
4
school.
to?
Oh, so- okay.
You know, the only thing I took away from that particular thing
that one girl was really cute.
was that redheads are awesome,
Thank you.
and that I was really jealous that Riley Ramsey had a 1967 Chevy Impala SS.
Given to her, or like she actually picked
Riley,
it out?
no, Riley is about as wide as this table, portly fellow.
Oh.
He tried to buy my soul for a Mustang.
Why don't you have this anymore?
Well, he worked at the Ford dealership, and I went in one day because I was like running parts for O'Reilly's or something. And he's like, "If you come back to church, I'll cut you a deal on this brand
come back
new Mustang."
Let's talk
And my
about
response was, "If you're gonna try to buy my soul, buy it with something I'm interested in."
No, so we've actually talked about this how Christians and it's various religions will pull people back in using manipulative tactics. So I
Sea
think
dragons.
Because that's not devilish at all.
Yeah, not sure.
The devil's probably sitting somewhere sipping Mai Tai going, "What the fuck is wrong with you people?
I
I did
saw-
nothing."
I saw a TikTok. I saw a TikTok today of a gentleman who was walking by a apologist church, and it had
Take care,
on there.
dragons.
Hi, Dragons. Oh, we need to get you on his podcast too sometime. He's really cool.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I still haven't
Yeah.
been on Dragon's
I'm
podcast.
Adrian.
So.
TBD. It's like, the agent is really Dustin. Let's be honest about this. He's the one that gets ideas, and
I
then
thought
I just
Dustin was
work
like
through.
my agent for the thirst thing.
Oh no, that too. We can talk about. Dadpool has his own triggers. He has his own.
Oh man.
Okay, Ricky.
Man, what?
How many thirsty girls do you think follow you?
I actually looked at this the other day. It's like 66% of my followers are women.
60%. Okay.
Not anymore.
66.
No, what's yours?
It's
You'll look it up.
49.
49. Oh, you're good.
a lot of ladies.
Well, so how often, like, as far as like percentages or just an average, how often do you get thirsty comments? I should ask.
I
From
don't know. I don't look at my comments that often.
yeah, he's bad about TikTok. This guy vets
very bad.
all of them. He
Me?
goes, yeah, you like go through and you really read your comments. I'm impressed by it normally.
I might be bored and trying to mine some content.
That could be a thing too.
That's exactly,
37.8% female.
Oh wow, it's actually a pretty low amount.
It
I'm
was
surprised by
actually
that.
like 87%.
But before the globe bucket.
Before the Go Back Tepe.
Oh, that was unfortunate.
Yeah.
Hold on, here we go. I'm trying to pull mine up now. Oh, yeah, 60.4 is female and 39.6 is male.
Minutes. Okay, yeah, we can work on that.
So it went down a little bit.
The end anyway, so
Cool.
we can work on that.
Cool.
No, so that's cool.
No, Ricky's prettier than I am anyway.
Well, we actually call him
What?
Captain Dad Street, or not Dad Street. We call him Captain Backstreet sometimes.
Backstreet, yep, get it
He
right.
looks like Backstreet Boy.
Well, yeah, and I look like nothing remotely near
The
any sort of
professor.
street that's paved.
I think paved.
Captain Backstreet over here, and
Yeah.
a dirt road like we were driving on today.
Everybody has their own thing, right? I just think it's funny that this one has some very loud fans.
And you know, and as much as I vet all of my comments, I don't notice the loud fans because
You
I
think
just
they're
am-
lying to you,
I
but they're
think they
not.
are lying to me as I pour myself.
He thinks they're
some
all
more
against it.
scotch.
He thinks the world's against.
Depression and trauma will do that to you.
But see, I only look like this because of the military. Like I want long hair and a big beard. I'm not allowed to have
I've been
it.
trying to grow a beard for years. Nothing's
You
happening.
can
Have
grow
you?
a beard and grow your hair out. You're not in the military anymore, right?
Yeah, I'm still in till February.
Oh,
Yeah, he's the one.
oh,
Yeah.
well, that ain't far away.
He's guard.
Yeah, so once a month.
Cool.
But once a month, I have to shave the beard completely off and trim the hair. So that's why I have to look like this until yeah.
Dad bod. Oh, Captain Dad bod.
And then, yeah, I've been given that one a few times.
Yeah.
Which I don't really have a dad bod, at least not a stereotypical
yeah, no,
one.
You know, I almost
You're
went
right.
to the military.
Did you?
Yeah.
I tried.
I almost went to the military, and you know what? The recruiter at the thing was like, "You can't fly."
Be grateful you didn't.
All right.
Because I was going to join the Air Force because I'm an airplane driver, and I said, "Well, I want to fly an airplane." He's like, "Nope,
Not if
we'll
you're-
make you an airman or a mechanic." And I was like, "Uh huh."
No.
And I was like, "Why?" He's like, "Well, you're too tall."
I'm too
Like,
tall to fit. In the
I'm too
cockpit.
tall to fly C-47 or not C-47, C-17 or a
C-130.
And he's like, "Oh yeah." I was like,
Yeah.
"How tall are you?"
Pops outside.
And he was 6'5". The recruiter was 6'5".
Go, go.
And I was like, "And what do you do?" He's like, "I fly F-16s." And I'm like, "Uh-huh. Sure you do. 6'5", you say.
Yeah, no, 6'5" would not fly an F-16.
No.
So I essentially was like, "You know what? Cool.
That was
I
a
want
lie.
to fly something with propellers on it. You guys don't have anything except for the C-130. So yeah, no." And then I looked at joining the Idaho Air Guard because with my private pilot's license, which I have, I would be automatically a warrant officer. And warrant officers are the ones who drive A-10s. And that's about as jet as I want to get is an A-10 because it's slow and you can't kill it. It's like my Toyota. And that's what I want.
I just want a Toyota that flies.
Essentially.
I've flown in a C-130 a few times, and I've
Oh.
flown in a Chinook helicopter, and a Black Hawk, and a no, not a Kiowa. I've never been in a Kiowa, but the
Kiowa's a little Jet Ranger.
yeah, it's a little Scout.
Mhm.
I've been in Cherokees and I've flown
Yeah, so
them, and I don't have a license.
But what's funny about the when I was in the Black Hawk, I flew like during missions, and because of my position on the squad, I was always on the window seat, and the door was slid open.
Oh yeah.
And I'm in full kit, and so just wind, just crazy. I mean, you're flying the Chinook. The Chinook feels like a plane. Like it's rougher than like a commercial plane, but it's still smooth, and you don't feel like you're gonna die at any minute. Like in the Black Hawk, everything's shaking. There's wind all over the place. You feel like you're in a tornado.
Mhm.
But like in a Chinook, I was like, this is better. This is better. I can do
I want to
this.
hear what I've flown.
I do want to hear, but I do.
Do you?
I've flown drones, so
I want to hear it.
You want to hear what I've flown?
do it.
Okay.
I'm gonna get sad.
I have 47 hours in a Cessna 172, which is just a wee puddle jumper that everyone's familiar with.
Mhm.
I have 3.5 hours
The flying lawnmower.
in the Cessna 182, which is
Okay.
the built-up flat 6 powered mil-spec version of a 172. So
Okay.
a little bit more powerful. I have 10.5 hours in de Havilland Beaver float plane, which I may or may not have flipped on its back. I have 4.5 hours in a Ford Trimotor.
Okay.
I have 3 hours in a B-17.
Okay.
In right-hand seat. So
Right-hand, okay.
that's I'm glorified.
I'm a glorified pilot for
Glorified
that exact
driving.
same reason.
But it's in my logbook. So
Cool. I don't have a log. I should.
I have 12 hours in a Boeing Stearman,
That's
which
cool.
I don't know if you're familiar with Boeing.
Yeah.
The
Really?
biplane crop duster,
I have some hours.
open cockpit biplane crop.
Yeah. Wow. Those
And
are
then
not very
I got
common.
1 hour in a P-51
Of course you do.
and 3 hours in a P-40N Warhawk. which is actually what I have tattooed on my leg because
I haven't
that's
seen
my
your
favorite
tattoos.
airplane.
I haven't seen any of your tattoos.
So yeah, I have a number of airplanes that are almost 100 years old under my belt because I never wanted to fly a jet. And I've got probably 150 hours in a Piper Cup, which is a glorified kite with a lawnmower motor on the front.
That's the one.
But those are some of the best little airplanes in the world. You
They're functional.
cannot crash one.
We call them the girlfriend planes, which might be a very sexist term, but yeah.
Piper
See,
Cup.
I've driven a few like ground vehicles, like the Striker, like the three different kinds of Strikers: the Cayman, the MRAP, and the Max Pro. And I've driven of course, the Humvee and the Striker, which is what I operate now, and a Bradley, which is the only treaded vehicle I've ever.
I've got a great story about Bradley's. It's not my story, but it's worth retelling.
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay, so a guy I worked with last year, I think he did 4 tours over there in the Army in Iraq. And one of a jack of all trades, one of the things he did for one of his tours, he was a driver for Bradley.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the drivers are like, there's a vehicle commander, right? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
There's a vehicle commander who sits in the turret, there's a gunner, and then the driver. But it's the driver's vehicle. The driver is, it's his truck, essentially. So this guy I worked with had this Bradley, and there was a bunch of guys that he always took out like the same squad or the same unit, and they would trash his Bradley.
Oh, I think I see where this is going.
The snooze cans and empty monster cans and all garbage and
sunflower seeds
and all this stuff. So one day, his wife, I guess, wrote him a letter and said, "What do you want me to send you from home in a care package?" And he's like, "Well, I'm going on a diet," and he asked for 5 5-pound bags of the sugar-free Hasbro or whatever gummy bears.
Did they like fold it up?
And he left 3 of those bags in the back of the MRAP or the Bradley. And of course, these guys just mowed down on him. They didn't care. They trashed the truck. They were like, "Oh, this is his." They ate all these gummy bears, and those are the ones that like make you have the shits.
Oh.
And for the whole patrol,
no.
there was not a peep out of the back of that thing.
Oh, wow.
When Justin told me that, I was like, "Dude,
that is genius.
That is genius." And I will write a ballad for you one day, sir.
Okay, another archaeology question. Just what was the coolest thing you've ever covered on site that was made out of bone?
That was made out of bone.
Yeah.
So
or bone itself. Either one.
I have not actually found on any of the projects I worked on a bone artifact.
Oh, I have.
All the bone that I've ever dealt with
it's just like
has been burials.
Okay. Oh yeah. Well, there's.
Well, I take it back. Burials and then like cut bone in a bit.
Yeah, like the throwaway sticks and things.
Yeah, I mean,
and like the dump pile stuff.
Ham bones. Actually, most of the bone stuff outside of burials that I've ever found has been historic.
Oh.
So think about it, like a ham bone or a soup bone that you get from the grocery store. I've found hundreds, or a T-bone. I've found hundreds of those in projects, but I have never really actually found something like a bone or antler harpoon point or.
When we first started talking, I think
you're gonna have to remind me because
I won't give you a date.
The life has got me going gray.
It's been a while. It's been over a year.
Yeah, sugar-free Harbo gummy bears.
Yeah. That's it.
The doom bag of revenge.
Justin's the worst. That's a shitty situation.
LOL.
No.
How many kids does Dustin have?
3.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. There's varying levels of dad.
The oldest one is just barely.
There's varying levels of dad. I am at level 1 because I don't have one. Dustin's
at
level.
Do you plan on having one?
Wow.
Okay.
What time I use the bathroom?
Oh, okay, got it. So
almost made it 2 hours.
So the bones, right? So the most interesting thing. Now, I didn't personally find these, or at least I didn't find the first one.
Did you find knuckle bones?
I haven't found knuckle bones yet. I really, really want
knuckle
to.
bones. You're on the wrong continent.
I know. I need to go to. But actually, that's one of the reasons. Yeah, we do well on this. Like,
all right, knuckle
TBD.
bones.
No, not knuckle bones. So on the most recent
Get
dig,
on your level, Dustin. Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say we'd have to squat really low to get on your level.
Oh.
Because he's shorter than Dadpool, so most of the time, unless he's standing on.
Unless
the left
I'm
foot.
digging or underneath the truck, I really don't like laying on the ground, dude.
Back to the bone story.
Back to the bones.
So we were. Ooh.
So
now it's a fight.
This Abakir is gonna die this week.
Apparently, he's gonna try and kill you.
Oh, Dadpool, we need to play a game.
Yes. So the three of us and the gentleman,
D&D.
the other gentleman, what was his name?
No,
There's a third guy. Who is it? Ricky.
Yeah. Fuck. He's got like almost 700,000 followers, something like that.
Yeah, he has more than both of you.
Yeah, like combined.
Anyway, there's somebody.
I didn't even know who he
with
was
you.
until Dustin
And then-
made that TikTok.
You and I
Bard?
play together, and Ricky wanted to play with you. Yeah, Beard Bard. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So the
Who
four.
lives in Lewiston, Montana?
Yeah, so the four of us are going to be playing D&D at some point. Probably going to broadcast and stream to Nerds
Wait,
and Heresy.
oh, yeah,
whenever
that's
this
it.
happens. But
That's right.
yeah, Bearded Bard. Yeah. So anyway, I'll just tell my story really, really fast.
Tell your story, and then I want to ask. I want to see what Kreia is
Oh,
actually
yeah,
going with this.
I want to see where she goes to. She asks really good questions.
She does.
She's awesome.
She's the
You're
glue that
awesome.
holds everything together.
She is. She's very glue-like. There's a lot of glue.
Fantastic.
Very molassesy. No, so the bones that we found, yeah,
It's gonna be a
we were out in the
pirate
middle of
game.
nowhere, out in Kisatchie in Louisiana, and we weren't finding anything. We were not expecting to find anything. It was just bliff sandhills.
Do I know what you found? I don't know what you found.
No, I don't- this
All
one,
right, continue the story.
you do know because I mentioned it, but we didn't talk much about it. Well, we started finding these little white dots, and we couldn't figure out exactly what they were. I thought, like, somebody mentioned they were like, oh, this looks like fertilizer, maybe, but it's really, really hard. We couldn't figure that out. And then we started seeing some other ones, and somebody came up to me and they're like, hey, I found a fossil. And they like handed to me that first look in the very fuzzy photo that they sent to me prior to walking to where I was on the transect and holding it out to me. They were like, I think I found a fossil. And I looked at it and I was like, yeah, that looks like a crinoid. And then they brought it up to me and I was like, that is a bead. We started finding a lot of bone beads. And then that's when we started finding the pockets of them, and we started answering. That's when it became.
And you're in Louisiana.
Yeah, and it became a village site. Well, but that's when it became a village site, and it's around Woodland era. So
Okay,
it was really,
cool.
yeah. So it was really, really interesting.
See, that's cool.
But that's the closest thing. So I only found one bead, but I think in total we found like 50, 60, which wasn't for sand. Like sand just moves so much, and I mean there were like dunes and like trees, and there's roots, and there's tons and tons of bioturbines. And,
Sandy, very sandy.
Titan, is that Native American site on state or federal land? Because it has probably been recorded.
And if not, you can.
If not, you
let
can
someone
report
know.
it.
Yeah.
You
You might be able to make that happen.
Report, not record. So that means don't just grab the things and
Yep.
take them. That means bring someone that is certified or
Grumpy.
yeah, somebody that can come in.
inside.
Come on.
And
Come on,
mumbles. Oh, hey, it's
Xena, my shadow came back. Hey, Grumpy. So
So it's on private?
yeah.
Okay, so private land is more difficult because private land, you technically own it.
Hold on, wait. Oh,
Wait,
this is
wait,
Titan
where-
talking. Yeah,
so-
Titan's in America. No, Titan. Wait, are you in Canada? Is Titan in Canada?
Oh.
So if Titan is in Canada, the Canadian government has jurisdiction over archaeological sites, even on private land, because they follow the rules. They follow
Because they follow
European.
UN rules.
They follow the UN rules, which is essentially a different rule book than what we play with.
Well, they're supposed to follow the UN rules.
It depends on in the states which state you are in and what the site is, whether or not the state or
literally in
has
the bench
any
of
sort
Mississippi. Oh, you are screwed, dude. That sucks.
Um,
You're not going to have much luck there. I would go ahead and go to the nearest college or nearest university that has a good anthropology or archaeology program and encourage some students to come out for a voluntary
Field school.
Field school, and maybe if the professor has like an afternoon or a day or two, a weekend
Actually,
to
see
come
if
out.
you can talk to one of the professors that has a master's student.
Specifically, because they will,
And
if they like
master's
it,
student
they'll
could
make it
actually
into a field
turn
school,
it into either a field school or turn it into turn it into an MA project.
which is kind of what I did, but I wasn't in my master's program yet. So
I've talked about this in my TikToks where I've gone over, if a site is on federal land or state land, you cannot pick up anything. It is against the law. And I have had people kick back I'm on private land, I'm this, I'm that. And I actually went looking because I had a question. Somebody asked me about picking up like arrowheads in the river. And I looked it up, and it depends on the state you're in, whether or not you can pick up arrowheads in a waterway. And then I dug a little bit deeper, and I found out that, and this is most of the states in the Midwest, indigenous site on your private property, it is under the jurisdiction of the state. The state can dictate what you do with that particular chunk of ground. And that is an effort to preserve what's there. And they might show up and say, we're going to excavate all of this, and you can then dig up whatever and not care. To an extent. But still, it's more control than...
we still had to get more permission from because of that.
Iowa,
And I had
Ohio.
Ohio. Okay, I was going to say I have access to the office of the state archaeologist, and I know the state archaeologist personally. So, and I mean, I had all of the signatures, and it still took an extra month and a half. I mean, which is still fast. But
well, hey, real quick, we're coming up on the 2-hour mark. I do want to do an after party.
Okay.
But as far as ending the actual stream, I want to wrap it up here in the next few minutes.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll do an after party on my Discord server, and we'll kick it back and be a little more casual, and we can continue these conversations.
Yeah, I can go back and get over back.
So real quick, Correa, I think that might be why, because he didn't comment on anything today, which I think is really funny. And also, can you share an experience where you presented findings in an archaeological research to the public, and how was it received? I can, because I did student symposium and did an honors thesis, an undergrad honors thesis, which is basically like a miniature MA, but without, like, in a shorter amount of time and with less words. And as far as presented to the public, my project at that point in time, it was so large, I had to kind of just pick one aspect of it. And what I picked was using 3D printers to be able to share information between different sites or different state archaeology offices, so that they didn't have to do size comparisons. Oh, I missed the beginning of the show. What is argument?
She's just a friend and colleague in this.
We friends.
Like adopted sibling.
At this point, kind of.
Yeah.
She's going shopping with my wife tomorrow. I don't know where they're going.
She said a store. She was like, "Have you been to the store?" And I was like, "No." And she's like, "Oh, it doesn't open till 9.
Like,
can you wait till 9?"
Or Rockin' Rudy's?
Rockin' Rudy's. That's the name of it.
Rockin' Rudy's.
What is Rockin' Rudy's?
It's an odd duck place.
I love odd duck places.
Odd duck place.
I am an odd duck.
You know, if you ever make your way down the East Coast, we have quite a few odd duck places here in Pennsylvania.
This is Ricky's not so subtle way of saying, "Hey, Matt, get your butt over to my house."
Well, you have the car that apparently uses.
No idea what you're talking about.
This is true.
And it's closer to go there than it is here.
Yeah.
But I know less people on the East Coast than I know.
You don't need a hotel. You can stay here. I'll cook. I'm a good cook. Few people know. I'll cook your.
I could
nice dinner.
You wanted me
go to the East Coast.
Okay, fine. He doesn't want me to come visit again.
No, I never said that.
No, it's fine. I mean, I can definitely go to the East Coast over the winter because there's no way my Prius is getting to Montana.
That's true.
Yeah.
I live very close to I will take you to Gettysburg. Yay! There's lots of fun to be had.
Oh,
at Gettysburg.
I'll have to tell him. I'll have to tell the story about the Gettysburg
We can do that
artifact in the after party.
Yeah.
Ooh,
sure.
yeah, let's do that.
But yeah.
Let's go ahead and
mentor, professor, partner.
more.
Everything but the partner part.
You tried that.
Not professor. I mean, I do learn things. Mentor.
I'm not a
I look up to you.
When people say that I'm a mentor, I'm like, I was never in Big Brothers Big Sisters. Fair enough. All right,
I learned
she's
bad
glaring at me.
habits.
Dude, I feel the same way when people call me an influencer. Like I would, like
We're not
Korea
using that
mentioned
term
Stephen
with him.
Walker.
I don't understand.
I was on Stephen Walker's podcast, and he reached out to me. He's like, "Hey, I have a podcast where I interview other influencers," which I was like,
Jared, where
I'm
are
not a-
you?
"What influencer? What the fuck does that even mean?"
Apparently, you influence the way people think.
I mean, you can adapt their thinking.
I
And-
wish I influenced as many people as you do.
yeah, you
Right?
can influence
Right?
your followers.
I wish more
I-
fucking people would
I-
listen to
my
the shit.
followers-
Rephrase that. They fight you.
Lots of people do.
Carpool.
Like, allow me to rephrase.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap things up right
All
on
right,
the
we're
2-hour mark. Thanks
We
everyone
will
for
be over
tuning
there.
in.
We have a quick errand, or at least he has a quick errand he has to run.
You're still getting
Yeah.
So
I'm
Here's
still
an
gonna
errand.
get called
We're
into
gonna
it.
get Shanghai,
But we
so-
can
Yes,
hop back
we
and
can
forth.
hop back.
Okay,
I'm
cool.
gonna go smoke
So,
before we get
10
started.
minutes and we'll meet you in the Discord.
But the Discord is public. Go ahead and jump in now. Get started.
Hurry up, put it up.
And we'll be in there soon. Yeah, or if you follow me on TikTok, there's a link in my bio.
Sweet.
Yeah. All right. See you guys there.
Sounds good. See you in a minute.
Bye.
Bye bye.
End broadcast.